Alright, what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be doing a review for Fully Cooley Alternative Episode 3 entitled Freestyle Collection. This week's episode, for this week's episode review, I'm going to put gameplay of Naruto Shinobi Striker instead of just having a picture. And let me know if you guys prefer just picture slideshow format for the review video, or if you would rather see gameplay like what I'm gonna be doing for this video. Just let me know which one you prefer, and I'll take that into consideration when it comes to editing these reviews and stuff like that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this episode review. So what do you think about the episode overall? What you like it, dislike it, what?
Kinda, man. It is so hard to like. It's definitely like
You kind of
feel
middle of the
less.
road about it, aren't you?
Really don't feel like it hit home like as much as last week's episode did. Like the only good thing about it was Haruko tapping into her inner rapper. That's about it. But
I
it's
could
like
have, I could have kind of taken, I could have kind of taken or left that. I mean, I was a little middle of the road when it came to that, to the rapping part. Like I wasn't, man, I, cause man, see, man, man, I don't know about it. I don't know about
it's
it.
gonna be hard.
I
This
don't
is gonna
know.
be hard.
So as far as the Haruko rapping part, I could kind of take it or leave it with that. I didn't think the episode was bad or anything. It did feel like, maybe it's just me, it felt like it kind of ended abruptly, like they had to quickly just finish up what they were doing with this episode. It wasn't as, when it came to the action scene, the fighting or whatever, when it came to that department, and in that department, this episode, there really wasn't any big action scene in this episode. And I'm not saying that every episode needs to be like last week's episode, or what we're familiar with, where like it's a bombastic third act basically. Because when you think about these Fully Cooley episodes, by the end of like the third act of the episode, it's usually some bombastic, thing that happens, a big fight sequence or whatever. And we didn't get that in this episode. It's sort of Haruko comes in and she's beating up the security or whatever, and then her and the guy from the shop just leave, and that's the end of the episode basically. So to me, I felt
Yeah.
like the episode kind of ended abruptly. Like I said, in regards to Haruko rapping, man, I don't know how to feel about that. I really don't. It's not too outside of her character to go and just you know do wacky stuff like that. And I'll give this episode points to where well, my favorite scene in this episode, as far as the one that really kind of stuck out to me, was just the scene where they're all in the nurse's office, and she tells them to take off their clothes, and she's commenting on how each of the girls look naked. That scene right there was just wild, and kind of what we come to expect from Fully Cooley. But yeah, I was kind of middle of the road with this episode. I mean, it wasn't a bad episode at all. Um, well, what do you think about? What do you think about? So basically the focus of this episode was Mossad, and like I was predicting in the last review, basically I was saying I'm pretty sure every episode, or at least most of these episodes, are gonna focus on a different girl in the group, and I was right about this episode. Focuses on Mossad, and we come to learn that she's outgoing, she's a workaholic, and I'll give the show credit. They did the whole characterization of her, pretty well. At least that's what I thought. Any other things you want to add?
Nah, just man, they did her justice. Like, I'm glad to know that she's more than just the fat character who lugs around a bunch of snacks and just eats them, and that's basically her character. I'm glad there's more to her than just that.
Because
So,
they could have easily made her very flat character. They could have easily just made her they could have made her a gag character easily. The fat girl gag character, because it's easy to make the fat character the one that you're supposed to be laughing at. And I mean, it would have been really easy for them to kind of make a very boring, very generic character with her. So I'll give them points for you know adding effort, putting some effort into uh how her character is. And we did get to see some of her home life briefly. We see that she has brother and a sister that's also kind of big. I found it funny. So I found it funny that they showed. So I guess her brother and sister can also draw, and the brother drew. I think it was the brother that drew the fried chicken, and the other girl drew. I think it was some. I don't know what. I can't remember what it was. It was like super or something. I don't know. Y'all can correct me in the comment section. But I know the other one was some chicken, and because she was unconscious, they were messing with her. And I think it was the brother that put the picture of the chicken over her mouth or over her head or whatever. And I thought that was kind of funny, I guess. Um, Anything else you wanna add? Because I'm trying to think if there's anything that kind of really stood out to
um,
me besides the whole nurse office scene, because I thought that was the really kind of the one that kind of just stood out to me.
basically, besides the fact that Haruko was a nurse, she was a construction worker, she was a rapper, and she was a model. Like, she can basically do pretty much everything under the sun. So
Yeah, I'm
I
noticing that.
noticed
It's
that.
like, what is your job description? You just do everything.
To stay undercover. It's like, what happened to the taco truck? Why are you like? I was wondering like what happened to the to her food truck in the beginning of the episode when it started. I'm like, wait a minute, why are you in a parking lot? What happened to the food truck you had in the last episode?
Yeah, so
It's
I'm
like,
glad. I'm glad you actually brought up the beginning of this episode, because that was something that I probably would have forgotten to bring up. But beginning of the episode, it starts off. She's around a bunch of dogs, and she's trying to get in contact with the was it the space headquarters or whatever.
it's her leaders.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I mean, the episode again, it had. I feel like the episode had the DNA, just what we're used to with Fully Coy. There were some moments that were generally what you would expect, but it wasn't really um, anything too standoutish really about this episode. And honestly, this being the third episode, we're at the halfway mark, and at this point, when it came to Fully Cold Progressive, that was where people were really saying, okay, we need to kind of pick things up. But it's kind of a different, it's kind of a different situation this time around, because the characters aren't as mysterious or whatever. There isn't this big, I don't want to say mystery, but it's a bit more forward, and it's not too much you really have to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Isn't that much?
It's not too much.
Isn't that much of a disconnect?
It's not that much. Well, that it's not too much that you have to infer about certain characters. Like with Hidomi, you had to infer some things because they weren't really telling you stuff right off the bat. But with this show and with these last few episodes, they're getting into these characters so that you basically know what they're about. And so I can kind of appreciate that. Were there any were there any new songs or anything that played in this episode? Because obviously you would probably be able to point that out more than me.
No, they're basically using uh no, they're basically using the alternative songs, like the one specifically for alternative, and I think like that said didn't stand out that much to me. But I know we didn't hear this in progressive. Like and I've heard the soundtrack at this point, so
Yeah, because I was
I don't.
wondering. Oh, well, go ahead.
The album Full on Cool came out like a few weeks ago around like Spider-Man week, and it basically has all the tracks that they've used for both progressive and alternative at this point. So it's like yeah, progressive has its songs and then this has its songs. It's not that too out there to notice. Like if it really is an amped up song, then we'll really hear it. But for this, it's like really like okay, it's just tone setting music pretty much, but it's still Pillows music though.
Yeah, because I
And
was
that's not a bad
wondering.
thing.
I mean, I was just wondering if they were gonna be reusing any of the songs from the last season, or even, obviously I think they reused a few songs maybe from season one. I could be wrong about that. Maybe not in this episode, but maybe in the other two. Maybe I think. As far as the animation goes in this episode, I mean, what do you think about it?
It was
Animation
okay.
and voice acting, I should say. Going to cover those two bases.
It the episode overall was okay. It was just okay. It's not barn burning. We're not like if I had to rate it, it'd be probably like what did I give last week? An 8? It would probably be around like the 7 to be fair. Voice acting's still top notch. So and voice acting's still top notch as ever. So it's like okay. It's not off putting. So
I mean, it's
yeah,
just
7.
that rapping scene with Haruko. I don't. Again, like I kept saying that I didn't really know how to feel about it, but like the more that I'm thinking about it, I don't want to say it was kind of cringe to me because it seems like I don't know what it is about certain shows when they try to have certain characters rapping, especially when it comes to anime characters like Killer Bee. When Killer Bee's rapping in Naruto, I hate it, and so with this, like it didn't bother me as much because Haruko does crazy stuff like this. It's not outside of her character, but like I'm not gonna mark off points because of that one thing because I mean like I said, usually it bothers me when certain cartoons and stuff does that, especially if the character's a black character. But I'm trying to think, does it feel like, because I don't think it felt like it really came out of nowhere or anything like that. Honestly, I like the fact that she starts rapping and stuff, and then she's like freestyle, and then she stops because I guess she wanted Kana to pick up after her, and then Kana starts laughing because Kana was serious after Mossad basically blew up on her for kind of getting in the way, kind of butting in when it came to her job and everything. And I mean, I like the fact that it seemed like for a moment there that that Haruko actually kind of cared, and it seemed like maybe she was trying to cheer Kana up, or at least that's how I kind of understood that scene. Like by the end of it.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. I can see what you mean by that, and also like just she probably does care a little bit more, but we ain't got to that point where it's like, okay, we know what's gonna happen now. She's just using you to get your portal open. Like
Honestly, it
that's the
feels.
whole.
Well, go ahead, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Was that was also the reason when she was all like, "Your forehead's your best quality." When she stripped them all naked, it's like, and John's like, "Wait a minute, my forehead's my best quality." I'm like, "Uh huh. Oh boy. Here it's gonna happen sooner or later."
But it
Like
seems
we
like she's
know this
less
by now.
upfront. I mean, it seems like she's less upfront about about using this girl. Like with Hidomi, she was really upfront about it. It seemed like she was more persistent on trying to get Adamus trying to reach her own goals or whatever. But with this, it seems like she's actually more friendly with Kana and the rest of her friends. It seems like she actually kind of cares to a degree. Whereas in like Progressive and maybe the first season, it was like, nah, I'm just here to use you to get what I want.
And
Whereas
she
like this
even
season, it seems
had
like
a
it's less than that.
even like had that little comment like when the little like I'm guessing that little TV robot popped out of her head like that little comment is like you're like a horny boy and I'm like you got some experience with that, don't you? You talking from experience there, aren't you, honey? Yeah, she probably kind of does to an extent, but I'm just waiting for that knife in the back, because we know it's coming and we only have 6 episodes to go. Just like, okay, it's the third episode,
Yeah, well,
and
we
for
only
that
have
promo
three
for the
more
next episode,
episodes. We have 3 more episodes.
and that promo for the next episode, she pretty much says like, okay, now Metal Mechanic is gonna get in my way. Whatever, I'm gonna do it my way, and then that's what we're left with. That's the whole promo right there, and I'm like, uh-oh. So I'm even looking at the description for the next episode. It's a basketball game in the next episode, and she's gonna I'm gonna let you like find it. It basically says it's gonna trigger her NO channel next episode. So
I wonder if they're gonna go the same route that they did with Progressive, and just like the last few episodes are gonna be the strongest ones. They're gonna be the ones that are just the ones that they really experiment more with, the ones that they try to kind of follow that formula that we're kind of even more so that we were used to in season one, faster pacing. Because even in this episode, the pacing it wasn't slow or anything, but it wasn't like sporadic. It wasn't fast. It wasn't stuff just happening. You know, crazy wacky
yeah, I
stuff,
understand.
crazy wacky stuff happening. Every second. It wasn't at that pace. Like the most that we kind of got that's kind of close to that was that I want to say that scene that I said earlier that I liked, that kind of stood out, the nurse scene. That was kind of the closest thing, and even that feels like just a callback, kind of a callback to season one with Nauta. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, and I know you gave your rating. Your rating was 7 out of 10. Yeah, so I think I'm kind of feeling the same thing, 7 out of 10. Again, this isn't just because there wasn't some big battle, big bombastic battle at the end. I keep using that word bombastic, but I don't know. I don't know. It's late. I can't really think of another word to use, so apologies. But it's not because there wasn't some huge battle at the end, like in last week's episode, or even in like the first episode, or even with just in general with like what we're used to. Because like I said, it felt like to me that maybe, and this could just be me. It felt like it kind of just ended abruptly, and it kind of felt like there was just something missing with the episode as far as the characters themselves, and I guess you could say like the overall story with what they were focusing on with Mossad. I thought they did that. I thought that they did that well, but that's pretty much all I can really say about it. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 also.
Okay. That's yeah, that's basically what I think too. Like again, they could have made her like the fat character, like you said. They could have just made her the big Joe character. I'm saying like they could have just made her like the character that just the fat character, the stereotypical fat character, just eats everything in sight.
I mean, they could have just made her like
But
they could have made her like Chocho from Boruto. It's like there's no like so far we haven't really seen like not to kind of get off topic, but like with JoJo, we haven't really had an episode where it's like, oh my god, this character is so deep or whatever. Like we should care, but they actually gave us a reason why we should actually give a crap about the characters. So that's why I said I'll give them points for that.
So that's fair.
All right, so I think we've said all that we can say about this episode. We already hit the 20-minute mark. Like I said, like I was saying at the beginning of this review, let me know if you guys would prefer the whole slideshow video format, or if you guys would prefer just me just uploading gameplay and just putting the commentary over the gameplay and everything like that. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week for episode 4, for the episode 4 review. Like the video, subscribe. We're out of here. Peace.